In the third year of my relationship with Adrian Santoro, heir to one of New Harbor City's most powerful mafia families, I became pregnant. The night before his father's birthday banquet, Adrian finally brought me home as his official girlfriend. Bianca Russo, the estate housekeeper's daughter, smiled sweetly and asked about my food allergies. I told her I was allergic to truffles. That night, every dish was covered with truffles. I tried to ignore it and ate a slice of cake that appeared safe. After 2 bites, Bianca laughed. I mixed truffle powder into the frosting. Doesn't it taste more interesting? My throat closed before I could answer. My skin turned purple. I fell from my chair, unable to breathe. Bianca covered her mouth and stepped backward. Oh my God, Elena. Do you have some kind of contagious disease? Everyone watched while I was carried out like garbage. When I recovered, Bianca insisted on helping me pack for the following day's banquet. I warned her repeatedly not to touch my ring. While I was in the bathroom, she claimed she accidentally dropped it down the drain. It was not an ordinary ring. It was the official Santoro signet ring Adrian had been given after securing the family's largest arms agreement. Without it, he could not legally seal the emergency authorization documents required at the docks. When I confronted Bianca, Adrian laughed. She was only curious because it was beautiful. Stop being petty. That same night, Bianca brought me several glasses of warm milk as an apology. Adrian convinced me to accept her kindness. I drank. 10 minutes later, a group of masked men entered my room. They struck my pregnant belly until the baby inside me stopped moving. When Adrian arrived, Bianca cried and claimed no one had entered. She said I had never wanted the Santoro family to have an heir. She claimed I arranged my own miscarriage so I could blame her and destroy Adrian's succession ceremony. Adrian believed every word. He ordered his soldiers to tie stones around my legs and throw me into New Harbor Bay. The final thing I remembered was seawater filling my lungs. Then I opened my eyes. I was standing outside Hawthorne Estate again. The same night. The same golden lights shone through the enormous windows. The same black marble steps stretched before me. Bianca stood beside the entrance, smiling like an angel. Ms. Lane, do you have any food allergies? The same words. The same voice. I had returned to the night before everything was taken from me. Adrian stood beside me in a perfectly tailored black suit. His hand rested against my lower back. Possessive. Gentle. False. Elena? He leaned closer. Bianca is waiting for an answer. What are you thinking about? What was I thinking about? Seawater flooding my lungs. Boots striking my abdomen. My unborn child dying while I screamed for Adrian. The hatred almost tore through my expression. I dug my nails into my palms until the pain cleared my mind. Then I smiled. I'm severely allergic to caviar. Adrian's expression changed. I absolutely cannot eat it. I looked at Bianca. However, you can add as many truffles as you like. I love the smell. A sharp light flickered through Bianca's eyes. She hid it immediately. Of course. Her voice remained sweet. I'll personally inform the kitchen. After Bianca walked toward the service wing, Adrian frowned. I'm the one allergic to caviar. I know. I lowered my eyes. I'm so used to remembering your preferences that I accidentally said yours instead. I gave him the same expression of devotion that had made him trust me in my previous life. It doesn't matter. As long as you're happy, I can eat anything. Adrian's expression softened. He leaned down and kissed the skin behind my ear. I received the Santoro signet ring this morning. He sounded proud. Tomorrow night, at my father's birthday banquet, he will formally name me as his successor. He touched my stomach. And will announce our engagement. Before I could respond, Bianca's voice drifted from the kitchen. "Adrian, I need your help." He turned immediately. "Coming." He didn't glance back at me. I watched him disappear into the kitchen. Then I touched my slightly rounded belly. In my previous life, I believed Adrian was too kind to refuse Bianca. I thought his protection of her came from the affection of two people raised together. I was wrong. He didn't fail to see her cruelty. He simply believed that protecting her mattered more than protecting me. This time, I would let him experience every small mistake himself. Night fell. Adrian brought me into the long dining room. The crystal chandelier filled the table with golden light. His mother, Margaret Santoro, sat at one end. Several senior family members occupied the other seats. The moment Adrian looked at the food, his expression darkened. I almost smiled. Every dish glittered with caviar. There was not a single truffle in sight. Bianca stood near the table with satisfaction shining in her eyes. I spent all afternoon supervising the kitchen. She looked directly at me. "You should eat while everything is fresh." Adrian's brows tightened. He wanted to say something. I caught his wrist beneath the table. "Bianca worked hard." My voice was soft. "We shouldn't disappoint her." Adrian looked at me with approval. Then he turned toward Bianca. "Thank you." She smiled modestly. "It was nothing." Adrian lifted his wine. He did not touch the appetizers. He avoided the caviar-covered fish. He ignored the pasta garnished with black pearls. Bianca's smugness slowly faded. Then Margaret entered carrying a white mousse cake. "I made this especially for tonight." She placed it near Adrian. "There is no caviar on top." Adrian relaxed. He cut a large piece. Then another. He ate 3 slices quickly. I barely touched my plate. Bianca walked toward me holding another slice. "Elena, this one is for you." I looked at the cake. "I'm not hungry." Her eyes immediately became red. "Do you dislike me?" Her voice trembled. "I worked so hard because I wanted you to feel welcome." Adrian's expression sharpened. "It is only cake." He looked at me. "Why do you always make Bianca feel rejected?" Margaret nodded. She spent the entire afternoon preparing dinner. Her gaze moved over my plain dress. "You probably never ate handmade mousse before entering this house." I said nothing. I accepted the plate. Then I took the smallest bite possible. Bianca's tears vanished. Her lips curved. I crushed the caviar into powder and blended it into the mousse. She leaned closer. "You can barely taste it, can you?" Before I could answer, Adrian's fork fell. "You put caviar in the cake?" Bianca nodded. "Yes." She still hadn't realized what she had done. I thought it would make the flavor more sophisticated. Adrian stood abruptly. His chair crashed behind him. Elena said she was allergic. Bianca froze. Then Adrian gasped. His hand flew to his throat. His face began turning red. "Adrian?" Margaret stood. Adrian tried to breathe. No air entered. He collapsed onto the floor. Panic spread through the dining room. Bianca rushed toward him. "What's happening?" I knelt beside him and pretended to be terrified. "His airway is closing." I looked toward the servants. "Call Dr. Bennett." The private doctor arrived several minutes later. By then, Adrian had lost consciousness. Dr. Bennett injected him with epinephrine and ordered everyone out. The treatment room remained closed for nearly 3 hours. When the doctor finally appeared, his face was grim. "He has a severe caviar allergy." Margaret looked toward Bianca. Dr. Bennett continued. One more minute without treatment and he could have died. Bianca became pale. Then she turned toward me. You knew. She rushed at me. You knew Adrian was allergic. Why didn't you warn me? I stepped backward. I did. My eyes filled with tears. I clearly said no caviar. I turned toward Margaret. You heard me. Margaret's expression changed. She had heard. Everyone had. Bianca shook her head. No. You said you liked it. Would you like to check the entrance security recording? The room became silent. Every conversation inside the front hall was recorded. Bianca's face lost its color. Margaret shoved her. Adrian has treated you like family. Her voice shook with anger. He has protected you since you were a child, and you nearly killed him. I didn't mean to. Bianca began crying. I only added a little. A little. In my previous life, Margaret had used those same words when truffle powder nearly killed me. Bianca only added a little. Bianca only made a mistake. Bianca was young. Bianca meant well. Now that her own son had nearly died, Margaret suddenly understood that, a little, could still close a person's throat. You've lived at Hawthorne Estate for 20 years, Margaret shouted. You know Adrian's allergy. Bianca covered her face. I forgot. You remember the brand of every shirt he owns. Margaret grabbed her wrist. You remember how he takes his coffee. You remember the names of every woman who speaks to him. Her voice became colder. But you forgot something that could kill him? For the first time, Bianca had no answer. Then Adrian woke. He was weak and still wearing an oxygen tube. Stop. Margaret rushed toward him. Adrian. He looked at Bianca. Don't blame her. Even while struggling to breathe, he protected her. It was my fault. He took Bianca's hand. I should have explained more clearly. I watched them. My heart felt nothing. In my previous life, seeing him touch her would have hurt. Now I only saw two people walking toward the grave they had once prepared for me. The following morning, Adrian returned to Hawthorne Estate. His face remained pale. His father's birthday banquet would begin that evening. Adrian refused to stay in bed. This is the most important night of my life. He adjusted his suit in the mirror. Half the East Coast families will be there. He smiled at his reflection. After tonight, no one will call me Don Vittorio's spoiled son again. I stood behind him selecting cuff links. In my previous life, I had helped him secure everything. The Red Hook Arms Agreement. The ceasefire with the Caruso family. The support of 5 senior captains. Adrian had taken the credit. I had believed his success would become our future. This time, I would let him stand alone. Bianca hurried into the room. Elena, let me handle these things. She reached toward the cuff links. Today is important. I want everything perfect. I was about to refuse when Adrian spoke. Let her help. He looked at Bianca. If she doesn't do something useful after last night, she'll feel guilty forever. Bianca gave him a grateful smile. I lowered my eyes. Of course. Bianca opened my suitcase. She removed dress boxes, jewelry cases, and accessories. Which items are especially important? She looked at me innocently. I don't want another accident. I pointed toward a black velvet box on the table. Do not touch that box. Her eyes flickered. What is inside? Something that concerns Adrian's future. Adrian laughed. That is an exaggeration. He walked toward the box. Inside was the Santoro family signet ring. The gold band carried a lion head seal. Don Vittorio had given it to Adrian after the Red Hook negotiation. It was the official symbol of succession. Still, I said, you should place it in the safe. Adrian waved one hand. It's only a banquet. That ring authorizes family orders. I know what it does. Then protect it. Adrian's expression became impatient. If I hide it in a safe, people will continue thinking I'm only a playboy pretending to be useful. He closed the box. I want them to see it. Exactly as before. Pride had always been easier to manipulate than reason. I went into the bathroom. Several minutes later, I saw Bianca near the service hallway. She held something behind her back. A corner of black velvet appeared between her fingers. She noticed me. Her body became tense. I pretended not to see. Then I walked away. The banquet began at 7. The grand hall glowed beneath hundreds of lights. New Harbor City's most powerful families filled the room. Adrian stood at the center of it all. His black suit fit perfectly. Although his face remained pale from the allergic reaction, ambition burned in his eyes. Several men surrounded him. We heard you personally negotiated the Red Hook ceasefire. Your father must be proud. The signet ring proves he has already chosen you. Show us. Adrian lifted his chin. Later. His smile was arrogant. The ring is nothing special. He had spent 3 nights without sleeping before the negotiation. I had found him on the balcony at 3 in the morning, his hands covered in cold sweat. I was the one who analyzed the Caruso family's finances. I traced their offshore accounts. I identified which captain could be pressured. I wrote Adrian's speech. I even marked the exact sentences where he should pause. Now he acted as if success came naturally. A soldier suddenly rushed into the grand hall. Don Santoro. The conversation stopped. There is trouble at Red Hook Pier 19. Don Vittorio Santoro stepped forward. What happened? The Caruso family seized tonight's shipment. The soldier struggled to catch his breath. They're demanding an emergency authorization agreement within 30 minutes. And if we refuse? They will end the ceasefire and take the entire cargo. That shipment was worth nearly $300 million. It was also the deal Adrian had presented as proof of his ability. Don Vittorio's expression darkened. Bring the agreement. The soldier shook his head. They require the official Santoro seal. The room erupted. Every senior member was inside Hawthorne Estate. The family's official seal was not stored in the Grand Hall. Then I stepped forward. Adrian. He looked at me. Doesn't the signet ring carry the official seal? Relief crossed his face. Yes. He turned toward the stairs. I brought it. He rushed toward our room. Several minutes later, he returned. His face was filled with rage. Elena. Every conversation stopped. Where is the ring? I blinked. In the black box. It's gone. I looked around as if confused. Bianca organized the jewelry. Adrian's face changed. We found her on the terrace. She was staring at the city lights. Bianca, I called. She turned. Where did you put the black velvet ring box? Her eyes immediately filled with tears. I'm sorry. I raised my voice. What happened? I thought the ring was beautiful. She began crying. I only wanted to try it on. Adrian reached us. What are you talking about? Bianca looked at him. The ring slipped from my hand. Her voice shook. It fell down the bathroom drain. The grand hall became silent behind us. I gasped. You flushed it away? Bianca covered her face. I didn't know it mattered. Adrian frowned at me. Elena, stop shouting. I stared at him. He turned toward Bianca. This is urgent. Crying won't help. Then he looked back at me. You were supposed to protect the ring. She removed it from my suitcase. You should have locked it. Bianca leaned against his chest. It was old and ugly. She sniffed. It had a strange lion head carved on it. Adrian's body became completely still. What did you say? A lion. Her voice became smaller. It looked cheap. I placed one hand over my mouth. Oh my God. I looked toward the listening crowd. Wasn't that the Santoro signet ring? Don Vittorio crossed the ballroom. The guests moved away from him. Bianca remained against Adrian's chest. She had not yet understood the danger. Don Vittorio stopped in front of her. Describe the ring. Bianca began trembling. Gold. What else? A black stone. And? A lion head seal. Don Vittorio slapped her. The sound echoed through the grand hall. Bianca fell against the terrace door. Margaret gasped. Vittorio. He ignored his wife. That ring has belonged to the Santoro family for 90 years. Bianca touched her cheek. I didn't know. You grew up inside this house. I thought it belonged to Elena. So you believed you had the right to destroy it? Bianca began crying harder. Adrian stepped between them. Papa, we can recover it. How? The pipes. Were you listening? Don Vittorio's voice became colder. She flushed it. Adrian's face tightened. The soldier from Red Hook approached. We have 12 minutes. Don Vittorio looked at Adrian. You negotiated the agreement. Call the Carusas. Without the seal, they won't accept it. Convince them. Adrian's confidence disappeared. I need time. You have 12 minutes. He called the Caruso underboss. The man laughed. No seal, no agreement. Adrian tried threats. Then money. Then promises. Nothing worked. At the end of 30 minutes, the Caruso family seized the shipment. The Red Hook ceasefire collapsed. $300 million vanished. Adrian stood in the middle of the ballroom while every person watched his greatest achievement become a public humiliation. Don Vittorio removed his glass from the table. The succession announcement is postponed. Adrian looked at him. No. The room became silent. You cannot do that. Don Vittorio's expression hardened. I am still Don. I secured that deal. You lost it. Because Bianca made a mistake. No. His father looked directly at him. Because you placed the symbol of this family inside your girlfriend's luggage. Adrian glanced at me. Don Vittorio continued. She warned you to protect it. You laughed. She told Bianca not to touch the box. You allowed her. Then you blamed Elena. Adrian's face became red. Bianca didn't know. Don Vittorio smiled without warmth. That seems to be the only standard in your life. He turned toward the guests. My son is not prepared to inherit this family. Whispers spread across the room. Adrian looked as if he had been shot. Don Vittorio walked away. Margaret followed him. The guests slowly returned to their conversations. But their respect for Adrian had disappeared. Bianca caught his sleeve. I'm sorry. Adrian pulled away. It was the first time I saw him reject her. You cost me everything. Her face became pale. I didn't know. His eyes became cold. You never know. I almost laughed. He finally understood how those words sounded. Bianca turned toward me. Hatred flashed beneath her tears. She knew I had set the trap. She could not prove it. That evening, Adrian blamed me. You knew she would touch the box. I removed my earrings. I warned her not to. You made it sound important. It was important. You tempted her. I looked at him through the mirror. Is Bianca a child? He said nothing. Does telling her not to steal something force her to steal it? She was curious. She nearly killed you because she was curious. That was an accident. She destroyed the signet ring because she was curious. Elena. His voice sharpened. Why do you keep turning everything into an attack on Bianca? I turned toward him. Why do you keep turning every attack on me into something I caused? He stared at me. In my previous life, I had never spoken to him that way. His expression became dangerous. Be careful. I smiled faintly. Of what? He had no answer. He only knew that the obedient woman he controlled was disappearing. The next afternoon, Bianca arrived at my bedroom holding a silver tray. 2 cups of warm milk rested on it. She wore a pale blue dress. Her eyes were swollen from crying. Elena. I looked up from my book. I came to apologize. The same tray. The same cups. The same sweet smell. In my previous life, I drank 3 cups because Adrian told me to accept her peace offering. 10 minutes later, I was too weak to fight. This time, I had already prepared. I'm not thirsty. Bianca's eyes became wet. I know you hate me. I don't. That was true. Hatred required emotion. I only needed her to expose herself. I made mistakes. She placed the tray on the table. But we will become family. Will we? Her fingers tightened. Adrian loves you. The word sounded painful to her. I want us to start again. Adrian entered behind her. He looked tired. Take the drink. I raised an eyebrow. Why? Bianca is trying. She tried to kill you yesterday. That was an accident. She destroyed the signet ring. Another accident. He rubbed his forehead. I don't have the strength for another argument. I looked at Bianca. She lowered her eyes, hiding satisfaction. I picked up 1 cup. To peace. Bianca immediately lifted the 2nd cup. She only pretended to drink. So did I. I allowed the milk to touch my lips. Then I poured it into a dark flower pot beside my chair when both of them looked toward the window. Adrian kissed my forehead. Rest. He left with Bianca. I locked the door. Then I turned on the hidden cameras my brother had installed that morning. My brother. Marco Moretti. Adrian knew me as Elena Lane. He believed I was the orphan daughter of a small-town accountant. My real name was Elena Moretti. My father, Don Rafael Moretti, controlled most of the Atlantic coast ports north of New Harbor City. 3 years earlier, he ordered me to end my relationship with Adrian. He had investigated the Santoros. He knew they were ambitious, careless, and dependent on Moretti shipping routes. I refused. My father gave me one choice. Return home or live without the Moretti name. I chose Adrian. In my previous life, pride stopped me from calling my family. By the time I understood my mistake, I was already dying. This time, I contacted Marco the moment Adrian entered the kitchen with Bianca. Marco did not ask why I had changed my mind. He only said, "I'll be there when you need me." I lay on the bed and pretended to sleep. 10 minutes passed. The door handle moved. The lock clicked. Bianca had used the duplicate key she kept from my previous visit. 4 masked men entered. One whispered, "She's out." Another looked toward my stomach. Bianca said to make it look like a miscarriage. My blood became cold even though I knew they were coming. They walked toward the bed. The first man lifted a metal baton. I opened my eyes. Then I fired the gun hidden beneath the blanket. The bullet struck the wall beside his head. All 4 men froze. If anyone moves, the next shot won't miss. The bedroom doors opened behind them. Marco's men entered. The attackers were forced to the floor. Bianca stood in the hallway. Her face was white. Adrian appeared behind her. What is happening? I sat up. One of the masked men stared at Bianca. You said she would be unconscious. The hallway became silent. Adrian slowly turned toward her. Bianca's lips trembled. I don't know him. The man laughed bitterly. You paid us $50,000. No. Marco entered the hallway. He wore a charcoal suit and the silver Moretti wolf on his lapel. Adrian frowned. Who are you? Marco looked at me. Are you hurt? No. His gaze moved toward my stomach. The baby? Safe. Adrian became still. What baby? I looked at him. In my previous life, I planned to announce my pregnancy during his succession banquet. This time, I let him learn while 4 men knelt beside my bed with weapons intended for my unborn child. I'm 14 weeks pregnant. Adrian stared at me. Then he looked toward Bianca. Her face collapsed. Adrian's shock lasted only seconds. Then anger replaced it. You hid this from me? I almost laughed. You hid a duplicate bedroom key with Bianca. That isn't the same. No. I looked at the masked men. It is worse. One attacker raised his head. We have messages. Bianca shouted. Shut up. Marco's guard struck him before he could move. The man took out his phone. Bianca's number appeared beside dozens of messages. Make sure she loses the baby. Do not touch her face. Adrian must believe she arranged it herself. Once the bleeding starts, leave through the service stairs. Adrian read the messages. His face became pale. Bianca began crying. She stole my phone. Who? Adrian demanded. Elena. The lie came easily. She has hated me since she arrived. She pointed at me. She arranged all of this. Adrian looked at the hidden cameras near the ceiling. Marco crossed his arms. The footage began before the men entered. Adrian's jaw tightened. Bianca continued. She could have sent the messages earlier. I left the bed. What about the payment? Marco placed a bank record on the table. $50,000 had moved from Bianca's private account to one attacker's sister. Bianca looked toward Adrian. Please. She grabbed his hand. You know me. That was the problem. He did know her. He knew she had nearly killed him with caviar. He knew she destroyed the signet ring. He knew 4 armed men had entered my room using her key. Still, he hesitated. Marco watched him with open disgust. Adrian finally asked. Why would you do this? Bianca's face twisted. I didn't. Her tears fell. I love you. The room became silent. Adrian released her hand. Bianca stepped closer. I have loved you my entire life. Her voice shook. I watched women come and go. I watched Elena take the position that should have been mine. She doesn't understand you. I do. Adrian stared at her. Bianca placed one hand on her heart. The baby would have trapped you. Elena would have used it to control the succession. I was protecting you. The same words. In my previous life, she claimed she was protecting the Santoro family by killing my child. Now Adrian was hearing it directly. He looked sick. I turned toward Marco. Take her. Adrian stepped forward. No. Marco looked at him. Adrian's posture changed beneath my brother's gaze. This is Santoro property. Marco smiled faintly. Not tonight. Adrian looked toward me. Who is he? I removed the thin silver necklace I had worn for 3 years. A black diamond crest hung beneath it. The Moretti wolf. Adrian recognized it. Everyone in the underworld did. His face became empty. No. Marco stood beside me. My sister's name is Elena Sofia Moretti. Adrian stared at me. The daughter of Don Rafael Moretti? Yes. He shook his head. You told me your father was dead. I told you Elena Lane's father was dead. You lied. I hid my name. That is a lie. I stepped closer. You believed I had no family. You believed I had no power. You believed no one would come if I disappeared. His face changed. He finally understood why Marco's men had entered Hawthorne Estate without asking permission. Why none of his soldiers had stopped them. The Moretti family controlled the port through which half the Santoro weapons entered the country. Without my father, Adrian's empire had no doors. Marco looked toward the captured men. The federal task force is waiting outside. Adrian stared at him. You brought federal agents to my home? No. Marco smiled. Your girlfriend hired men to assault a pregnant Moretti heir. She brought them. Bianca was taken into custody. Margaret followed the agents to the front hall. You cannot take her. She grew up here. Marco looked at her. She attempted to murder my sister's unborn child. Margaret's face became pale. She made a mistake. I laughed. The sound stopped everyone. A mistake. Truffles in my cake. A ring in the drain. Drugs in my milk. 4 men in my room. Everything Bianca did became small when someone else paid the price. Margaret looked at me. Elena, think carefully. I have. Bianca is confused. She wrote detailed instructions. She was jealous. That does not excuse murder. Adrian stood near the staircase. He had not spoken since learning my identity. Margaret turned toward him. Tell them to release her. He looked at Bianca. She was crying between 2 agents. Adrian. Her voice broke. I did it because I love you. His eyes closed. Then he said. Take her. Bianca stopped crying. What? Adrian looked away. I cannot protect you from this. Her face twisted. You promised. I never promised murder. You promised I would always have a home here. You lost it. Bianca began struggling. Elena did this. She screamed as the agents pulled her toward the door. She came here to steal everything. She doesn't love you. She only wants the Santoro name. Marco laughed. The entire hall became silent. Adrian looked at him. Marco removed a folder from his coat. Your family borrowed $300 million from a Moretti subsidiary. Adrian's face changed. The Red Hook shipment moved through Moretti-controlled docks. Don Vittorio entered behind Margaret. His expression became dark. What is he talking about? Marco handed him the folder. The Santoro family's greatest agreements were supported by Elena's family. Don Vittorio read the documents. His hands began trembling. He looked at me. You arranged these? Yes. Adrian stared. The Red Hook truce. The offshore accounts. The underboss who changed sides at the last minute. All of it had been my work. He had never asked how I knew so much. He only accepted the applause. Don Vittorio looked toward his son. You said you negotiated the Caruso agreement. I did. I shook my head. You delivered the speech. Adrian's eyes moved toward me. I wrote it. I continued. I identified their financial weakness. I found their hidden debts. I arranged for the Moretti captains to support you. You stood in the room and repeated my words. Margaret sat down slowly. Don Vittorio's expression became colder with every sentence. You took credit for her work? Adrian's face reddened. She helped me. No. I looked at him. I built the road. You walked on it. He stepped toward me. Why didn't you tell me? I wanted to see what kind of man you would become if you believed success belonged to you. The answer hurt him. It was meant to. Don Vittorio closed the folder. The succession remained suspended. Adrian looked at him. Papa. You lost the signet ring. You lost the Red Hook shipment. You allowed Bianca to use this house to attempt murder. And your girlfriend created every victory you claimed as your own. His father's voice became quiet. You are not ready to lead anyone. Adrian stared at the floor. For the first time in his life, no one rushed to protect his pride. Marco took me to St. Catherine Medical Center. The baby was unharmed. Dr. Evelyn Hart showed me the ultrasound. A tiny heartbeat filled the room. I began crying. In my previous life, that sound had disappeared beneath men's boots. This time, my child was alive. Marco stood near the door, pretending not to be emotional. I looked at him. You can come closer. I can see from here. You're afraid. I am not. You are afraid of a baby. I am afraid of touching something smaller than my hand. I laughed through the tears. It was the first real laugh since I returned. My father arrived before midnight. Don Rafael Moretti did not knock. He entered the room and stopped when he saw me. For 3 years, neither of us had apologized. Then he crossed the room and held me. You came back. I'm sorry. No. His arms tightened. I should have come for you sooner. You warned me. I was your father. His voice became rough. I should not have made pride the price of returning home. I cried against his shoulder. Afterward, he looked at the ultrasound. My grandchild? Yes. Does Adrian know? Yes. My father's expression became cold. What do you want done with him? Nothing yet. Marco raised an eyebrow. You are more patient than I am. I want to know whether Bianca acted alone. She had not. The following morning, Moretti investigators searched Bianca's rooms. They found the Santoro signet ring inside a hidden safe. It had never entered the drain. They also found wax impressions of the seal. Photographs of Red Hook documents. Copies of Adrian's private access codes. And messages with Victor Caruso, the rival family's second son. The ring will allow us to issue orders under the Santoro name. Once Adrian inherits, he will be easy to control. Elena has to disappear first. Another message appeared 1 week before the banquet. If she miscarries, Adrian will blame her weakness. Bianca replied. He'll believe me. He always does. I stared at those words. In my previous life, she had been right. Adrian believed her. He ordered me thrown into the ocean without listening to a single explanation. Marco looked at the screen. Do you want him to see this? Yes. Why? Because I want him to know exactly how little his trust was worth. Adrian came to the hospital that evening. He was searched before entering. He looked exhausted. His eyes moved immediately toward my stomach. Is the baby safe? Yes. Relief crossed his face. Then I placed the signet ring on the table. Adrian froze. Where did you find it? In Bianca's safe. His hand began shaking. I showed him the messages. He read each one. His face became emptier with every line. She was working with Victor Caruso. Yes. She planned to use the seal. Yes. She wanted to control me. Yes. He looked at me. Did you know? Not in my first life. Adrian frowned. I had not intended to say it. But the truth no longer frightened me. What does that mean? I looked toward the dark window. It means I know what you would have done if Bianca's plan succeeded. He stared. In another life, I drank the milk. The men entered. They killed our baby. Adrian's face turned pale. I continued. Bianca said I arranged it. You believed her. You called me a traitor. You ordered your men to throw me into New Harbor Bay. Adrian stepped backward. That never happened. Not to you. My voice remained calm. But I remember drowning. He looked at Marco as if asking him to explain. Marco said nothing. Adrian shook his head. You're confused. Perhaps. I looked at him. But when the same trap appeared, I knew every step. The allergy. The ring. The milk. The men. Adrian's breathing changed. If what you're saying is true. It is. He sat down. Tears entered his eyes. I killed you. You ordered it. I didn't know. That sentence again. I almost smiled. You never knew. The Moretti family withdrew its support from the Santoros the next morning. The effect was immediate. 3 weapons shipments were stopped. 2 private banks froze Santoro credit. The Caruso family refused to restore the Red Hook ceasefire. Politicians who once answered Don Vittorio's calls suddenly became unavailable. The Santoro organization lost nearly half its income in 1 week. Adrian came to Moretti House on Blackstone Avenue. He waited outside for 3 hours. My father refused to let him enter. I eventually agreed to meet him in the courtyard. Adrian stood beneath the rain. His suit was soaked. His eyes were red. I need to speak with you. You are alone. No. Marco remained near the entrance. Adrian looked at him. Then back at me. My family is collapsing. Yes. You did this. I stopped preventing it. There is no difference. There is. I stepped closer. I'm not attacking the Santoros. I'm withdrawing Moretti money, ships, and protection. Those things belong to your father. Most were arranged through companies I control. His face became pale. I had not been only a Don's daughter. I was the owner of several legitimate Moretti corporations. The Santoros had used my logistics network for years. Adrian stared at me. You gave us everything. Yes. Why? Because I believed we were building a future. He closed his eyes. I can fix this. No. I'll testify against Bianca. You should. I'll recover the Red Hook deal. You can try. I'll return the signet ring to my father. He already took it. Adrian looked toward my stomach. I want to be part of the baby's life. My body became cold. You ordered my death. That was another life. You are the same man. No. He stepped closer. I would never do that now. Because you know my name? The question stopped him. If I were still Elena Lane, the orphan you believed had no one, would you be here? He said nothing. That silence was my answer. You don't love me, I said. That isn't true. You love the woman who made you successful. You love the Moretti heir your family needs. You love the mother of the child who could connect two empires. His voice broke. I loved you before I knew. You protected Bianca before you knew. I made mistakes. You made choices. He reached toward me. Marco moved forward. Adrian stopped. I was jealous of how much influence you had. He finally admitted it. I thought if you helped too much, people would believe I was weak. So you took my work and claimed it as yours. Yes. The honesty came too late. I thought once I became Don, I could give you everything. I already had everything. He looked at me. I only wanted you. Then I walked back inside. Bianca was placed inside a secured Santoro guesthouse while prosecutors prepared charges. Margaret visited her secretly. She still believed Bianca was the child she had raised. She blamed me. She was never violent before Elena entered this house, Margaret told Don Vittorio. She tried to kill Adrian with caviar. It was an accident. She stole the signet ring. She was manipulated by Victor Caruso. She hired men to attack a pregnant woman. Margaret began crying. She was afraid. Don Vittorio looked at his wife. And Elena was not? Margaret had no answer. 3 nights later, Bianca escaped. Margaret had given her access to a service vehicle. By dawn, Bianca had disappeared into Caruso territory. Don Vittorio ordered Margaret confined to Hawthorne Estate. Adrian did not defend his mother. For once, he understood the cost of blind protection. Bianca contacted him the following day. She sent one photograph. I was leaving St. Catherine Medical Center beside Marco. A red target had been drawn over my stomach. Her message read: If I cannot have the Santoro future, neither can she. Adrian brought the message to my father himself. He lowered his head before Don Rafael Moretti. Protect her. My father stared at him. You are asking me to protect my own daughter from the woman your family raised? Adrian swallowed. Yes. My father took the phone. Do you know where Bianca is? No. You are useless. Adrian flinched. My father handed the phone to Marco. Trace it. The signal came from Warehouse 27 near Harbor Line Road. The location was too obvious. A trap. I wanted to go. My father refused. You are pregnant. I am also the target. That is why you remain here. If Bianca believes I'm hiding, she will attack someone else. She already has Victor Caruso's men. Then let her believe she has me. Marco looked at our father. She's right. My father glared at him. You are supposed to support me. I support whichever plan is less likely to destroy the city. We prepared a convoy. The center vehicle was armored. I sat inside wearing a bulletproof vest. Marco's men followed. Adrian insisted on coming. No, I said. Bianca may speak to me. She has controlled you for years. Not anymore. I studied his face. Then I allowed him into the rear car. Not because I trusted him. Because Bianca still did. The attack came near Pier 19. A truck blocked the road. Gunfire struck the armored windows. Our drivers turned into an abandoned container yard. Bianca's voice came through the vehicle radio. Elena. She sounded almost happy. Get out. I took the radio. You first. If you don't, I'll kill Adrian. My body became still. The rear vehicle doors stood open. Adrian was gone. Bianca's men had taken him during the first attack. A video appeared on my phone. Adrian knelt inside warehouse 27. A gun was pressed against his head. Bianca stood behind him. "You took my life." Her eyes were wild. "I'm taking yours." Marco wanted to storm the warehouse. I stopped him. "Bianca wants me inside. That is why you are staying outside. She will kill Adrian." Marco looked at me. "Do you care?" I thought about the question. No. The answer surprised even me. But Victor Caruso is inside. He controlled enough men to begin a citywide war. Capturing him mattered. We entered through the front. I wore a wire beneath my coat. Marco's teams moved through the surrounding containers. Inside the warehouse, Adrian was tied to a chair. Blood covered one side of his face. Bianca held the Santoro signet ring. Victor Caruso stood beside her. He smiled when he saw me. The hidden Moretti princess. My family always wondered where Raphael's daughter disappeared. I looked at Bianca. "You escaped for this?" She touched the signet ring. "With this, we can issue emergency Santoro orders." Don Vittorio cancelled the old seal. Her smile froze. "What?" The moment the ring was recovered, he changed the family authorization codes. Victor looked at her. "You said it would work." Bianca's face became pale. "It should." I almost felt sorry for her. Every man she trusted had wanted only her usefulness. Adrian. Victor. Even her father, the estate steward, had encouraged her obsession because he wanted access to the Santoro family. Victor grabbed her wrist. "You brought me a worthless ring." Bianca pulled away. "You promised I would become Donna." Victor laughed. "Of what?" Her face collapsed. "You said." "I said what you needed to hear." Adrian lifted his head. For the first time, he saw Bianca experience the same kind of betrayal she had helped him inflict on me. Victor pointed his weapon at my stomach. "The Moretti heir still has value." Adrian struggled against the chair. "Don't touch her." Victor looked at him. "You spent years doing exactly that." Bianca began crying. "Adrian, Elham, I belong with you." Adrian stared at her. Then he said. "You never did." Her face twisted. "I did everything for you. You killed my child. The baby isn't dead." Her voice became desperate. This time. The warehouse became silent. Adrian's expression changed. "What did you say?" Bianca realized her mistake. I looked at her. "You remember too." She stepped backward. "No. You remember the other life." Her breathing became uneven. Images flashed through her expression. My miscarriage. My blood. The ocean. Bianca began laughing. "It was supposed to work." Her voice became unstable. "You were supposed to drink the milk. The men were supposed to hit you. Adrian was supposed to believe me." Adrian stared at her in horror. Bianca pointed at me. "She came back too." Victor looked between us. "You're both insane." Bianca rushed toward him. "Kill her." Victor shoved her aside. She fell. Adrian pulled one hand free from the rope. Bianca's knot had been careless. He struck the guard beside him and grabbed the man's gun. Victor fired at me. Adrian moved between us. The bullet entered his shoulder. Marco's team stormed the warehouse. Gunfire filled the air. Victor was shot in the leg. Bianca crawled toward the fallen signet ring. Even with bullets around her, she still wanted the symbol. I reached it first. My heel came down on her hand. She screamed. I looked down at her. You destroyed lives for this. I lifted the ring. And it was never yours. Bianca survived. Victor survived too. Neither was fortunate enough to die quickly. The warehouse recordings captured everything. Bianca's confession. Victor's kidnapping. The attack on the Moretti convoy. The evidence connected them to the stolen Red Hook shipment and several previous murders. Adrian underwent surgery at St. Catherine Medical Center. The bullet missed his heart. When he woke, I was standing near the window. He looked surprised. You came. You took a bullet. His eyes softened. Like you did in the other life? I asked. His expression changed. Bianca had remembered. So had I. Perhaps death had broken something in time. Perhaps the universe simply wanted the truth exposed. I remember pieces, Adrian whispered. Since when? The allergy. He closed his eyes. I dreamed about the ocean. He looked at me again. I saw you begging. I heard Bianca say you killed the baby yourself. His face twisted. And I believed her. Yes. I ordered them to take you away. Yes. Tears entered his eyes. I watched the car leave. I said nothing. I killed you. Not with your hands. That doesn't matter. For once, he didn't hide behind ignorance. He looked toward my stomach. Why did you let me into the convoy? To reach Bianca. Not because you trusted me. No. Pain crossed his face. He accepted it. What happens now? To Bianca? To us. There is no us. He looked away. I took a bullet for you. You also ordered my death. In another life. You remember it. Yes. Then you know one act does not erase the other. His breathing became unsteady. I love you. No. You loved being chosen by me. You loved the strategies I gave you. You loved that I made you appear stronger. And when Bianca cried, you chose her because protecting her made you feel powerful. Adrian's tears fell. I can change. Perhaps. Hope appeared in his face. I continued. But I will not stay close enough to find out. He closed his eyes. What about the baby? You will have no unsupervised contact. I'm the father. You hired no men. You did not plan the attack this time. But you helped create the world that allowed Bianca to enter my room. You ignored every warning. You placed my life beneath her feelings. His face became pale. The court will decide your legal rights. And you? I already decided mine. Don Vittorio called a full family council. Every Santoro captain attended. Adrian entered with his arm in a sling. The official signet ring rested on the table. Don Vittorio stood at the head. My son failed this family. Margaret began crying. Adrian looked at his father. Papa. You lost the Red Hook agreement. You allowed an enemy agent to live inside our estate. You accepted another woman's work as your own. You endangered the Moretti heir and your unborn child. His father's expression hardened. You are removed as successor. Adrian looked toward the captains. No one defended him. The applause and praise from the birthday banquet had disappeared. Don Vittorio named his younger nephew, Michael Santoro, as temporary successor. Michael was 29. Quiet. Experienced. And smart enough to understand that leadership required more than a handsome face. Adrian removed the family ring from his hand. He placed it on the table. Then he looked at me. I had attended as a Moretti representative. This is what you wanted. No. I shook my head. I wanted you to protect the ring. The answer humiliated him more than celebration would have. Don Vittorio signed new agreements with the Moretti family. The Santoros lost control of Red Hook Pier 19. They kept several legal businesses. My father refused to destroy thousands of innocent employees because of Adrian and Bianca. The family survived. Adrian's ambition did not. He later faced charges for financial fraud connected to offshore accounts he opened with Bianca. He accepted a plea agreement. He avoided a long prison sentence but was forbidden from holding a position in any family company. The man who had believed he would become Don now managed a small legitimate security office outside the city. No soldiers followed him. No captains praised him. No one called him heir. Bianca received multiple life sentences. Victor Caruso received the same. Margaret visited Bianca once. Bianca blamed her for everything. You raised me to believe Adrian belonged to me. Margaret left the prison and never returned. Don Vittorio filed for divorce 6 months later. He said love without judgment had nearly destroyed his family. Margaret moved to Florida. Hawthorne Estate became quiet. My father brought me home to Moretti House. For the first time in 3 years, I used my real name publicly. Elena Moretti. The hidden daughter had returned. New Harbor newspapers wrote dozens of stories. Some called me a Mafia princess. Others called me the strategist behind Adrian Santoro's greatest deals. I ignored them. My only concern was the child inside me. Dr. Bennett warned that stress had placed the pregnancy at risk. I reduced my work. That lasted 4 days. Then Gabriel Bellini arrived. He was the eldest son of one of my father's oldest allies. He had been my friend since childhood. When I left the Moretti family for Adrian, Gabriel was the only person who did not tell me I was making a mistake. He only said, "If you need a road home, call me." I never did. Marco called him after the warehouse attack. Gabriel entered the garden carrying 2 cups of coffee. One is decaffeinated. He handed it to me. How romantic. I brought cookies too. Better. He sat beside me. For several minutes, neither of us spoke. Gabriel had dark hair and gray eyes. He was not as openly charming as Adrian. He didn't enter a room expecting everyone to look at him. People looked anyway. You knew I was pregnant? I asked. Marco told me. Marco tells everyone too much. He threatened to remove my teeth if I upset you. That sounds like him. Gabriel looked toward the garden. How are you? I'm alive. That was not the question. I looked at him. I don't know. He nodded. That is an acceptable answer. You're not going to tell me to move on? No. To forgive myself? No. To think about the future? Not today. I stared at him. What are you going to do? Sit here. For how long? Until you want me to leave. He stayed until sunset. Then he returned the next day. And the day after that. Gabriel never asked about Adrian unless I brought him up. He never treated my pregnancy like an inconvenience. He attended medical appointments only when I invited him. When the baby kicked for the first time, Gabriel was sitting across from me reading a shipping report. I froze. What? I placed one hand against my stomach. She moved. Gabriel became completely still. She? The doctor believes it's a girl. His eyes softened. May I? He stopped before touching me. I nodded. He placed his palm gently against my stomach. The baby kicked again. Gabriel laughed. The sound was quiet and surprised. She has strong opinions. She's a Moretti. That explains it. My throat tightened. For a moment, I imagined Adrian's hand there. Then I remembered the other life. I pulled away. Gabriel removed his hand immediately. I'm sorry. You didn't do anything. I know. He looked at me. But you remembered. I began crying. Gabriel did not touch me until I reached for him. Then he held me without promising the pain would disappear. My daughter was born during a winter storm. I named her Lucia Rose Moretti. Lucia after my mother. Rose because my father filled the hospital room with so many white roses that the nurses complained. Adrian learned about the birth from his attorney. He sent a letter. I don't expect you to let me hold her. I only need to know she is alive. I read it twice. Then I sent one photograph. Only her hand. No face. No location. Beneath it, I wrote. She is safe. Adrian did not reply. The court granted him limited supervised contact after he completed counseling and cooperated with the financial investigation. My father hated the decision. Marco hated it more. I accepted it for one reason. Lucia would one day ask. I wanted my answer to be that I had protected her without hiding the truth. Adrian met her for the first time when she was 6 months old. A social worker sat inside the room. I watched through one-way glass. Adrian approached the crib slowly. His hands shook. Lucia looked at him. Then she began crying. Adrian stopped. He didn't try to pick her up. He sat on the floor beside the crib. I'm sorry. His voice broke. I'm sorry for everything that happened before you were born. Lucia continued crying. The social worker lifted her. Adrian covered his face. I felt no satisfaction. Regret did not restore what had been lost. It only proved that a person finally understood the cost. Adrian attended several supervised visits. He never asked me to return. Perhaps he had learned that love was not another possession to reclaim. Gabriel remained beside me. He did not compete. He did not ask whether I still loved Adrian. One evening, after Lucia fell asleep, I found him on the balcony. You've been here for more than a year. Yes. Why? He looked at me. You know why. I need to hear it. Gabriel's expression became serious. I love you. The answer came without hesitation. I loved you before Adrian. I loved you while you chose him. And I loved you enough not to turn your pain into my opportunity. My eyes filled with tears. What if I never become the woman I was? I don't want the woman you were. That sounds cruel. She believed she had to disappear inside a man's life to prove she loved him. Gabriel stepped closer. I want the woman standing here. The woman who came back. The woman who saved her daughter. The woman who finally uses her own name. I looked at him. I don't know whether I can trust love. Then trust my actions. For how long? As long as you need. Gabriel and I did not marry quickly. We dated for 2 years. Slowly. Publicly. Honestly. He disagreed with me. That was new. Adrian had either ignored my opinions or used them secretly. Gabriel gave me credit in every room. When I created a new port agreement, he introduced it as Elena's plan. When my father praised him for resolving a dispute, Gabriel corrected him. Elena resolved it. He never allowed admiration to become theft. Lucia called him Gabe before she called him anything else. At 3 years old, she began calling him Dad by accident. Gabriel left the room and cried where he thought no one could see him. I saw. I said nothing until that evening. Did it frighten you? Yes. Why? Because I wanted it too much. He looked at me. And I don't want my desire to become pressure on her. That was the moment I understood. A good man was not the man who wanted nothing. He was the man who remained responsible for what he wanted. Gabriel proposed at St. Catherine Medical Center. Not in the maternity ward. In the hospital garden. Lucia was holding the ring. She dropped it into the fountain. Gabriel removed his jacket and climbed into the water. I laughed until I cried. When he finally found it, he returned dripping wet. Elena Moretti. He lowered himself onto one knee. Will you allow me to spend the rest of my life disagreeing with you? That is not romantic. I also promise to love you better. And Lucia. My throat tightened. Not because she is part of you. He looked toward my daughter. Because she is herself. Lucia clapped. Say yes, Mommy. I looked at Gabriel. Yes. Our wedding took place at Moretti House. No enormous Mafia banquet. No succession announcement. Only family and close friends. Lucia walked beside me in a pale blue dress. My father cried openly. Marco denied crying while holding 3 handkerchiefs. During his vows, Gabriel looked directly into my eyes. I will never call danger a small matter when it threatens you. I will never defend someone's intentions above the harm they caused. I will never ask you to become silent so I can feel strong. My eyes filled with tears. When it was my turn, I held his hands. In another life, I believed love meant forgiveness without limits. I believed loyalty meant remaining beside someone after they repeatedly chose another person. I was wrong. I looked toward Lucia. Love is not how much pain you survive. It is how safe you are allowed to become. I turned back to Gabriel. You gave me time. You gave me truth. You gave my daughter a father without ever treating her like something you earned. I smiled through my tears. I choose you. 5 years after Bianca's conviction, I became head of Moretti Maritime. My father remained Don. He claimed retirement was boring. Marco became consigliere. Gabriel led Bellini Shipping. Our families remained allies without merging authority. Adrian lived outside New Harbor City. He continued attending supervised meetings with Lucia. As she grew older, the visits became less formal. He never became her primary father. Gabriel had already filled that place through thousands of ordinary moments. School mornings. Fevers. Nightmares. Birthday cakes. Adrian eventually accepted it. He wrote Lucia letters. He never criticized me. He never blamed Gabriel. Regret had finally taught him humility, although it arrived years too late. Hawthorne Estate was sold. The Santoro family donated part of the property to a women's shelter after Don Vittorio discovered how many employees Bianca and Margaret had intimidated into silence. The Grand Hall became a legal aid center. The bedroom where the men attacked me was demolished. I visited once before construction began. The old flower pot still stood near the window. The plant had died from the drugged milk I poured into the soil. I stared at it for a long time. In my first life, I swallowed everything placed in front of me. Poisoned cake. Drugged milk. Humiliation. Blame. I believed endurance proved love. It didn't. Endurance only taught cruel people how much they could continue taking. Lucia entered the room holding Gabriel's hand. She was 5. Mommy, did you live here? For a little while. Did you like it? No. Why? I looked around. Because people here kept calling dangerous things small. She frowned. What does that mean? Gabriel stood behind her. I crouched. It means someone can say they didn't mean to hurt you. But if they keep hurting you, their intentions no longer matter. Lucia thought carefully. Like when Tommy keeps pulling my hair? Exactly. I told the teacher. Good. She looked proud. Gabriel smiled. On our way out, we passed the former dining room. I remembered Bianca's smile. The caviar cake. Adrian collapsing. In my previous life, I had nearly died while everyone protected her feelings. In the second, Adrian experienced the danger himself. Only then did his family understand. That lesson stayed with me. People often dismiss suffering until it reaches someone they value. Real justice does not wait for the victim to become important. My real name had protected me. My family had given me power. But I had not deserved to be poisoned, beaten, or murdered even when Adrian believed I was only Elaine. No woman needs a famous father before her pain matters. Gabriel touched my shoulder. Ready? I looked at him. Then at Lucia. Yes. Outside, snow had begun falling across Hudson Heights. Lucia lifted her face toward it. Gabriel placed his coat around both of us. I thought about the woman I had been. The woman who stayed silent when Adrian called her life a small matter. She had died in New Harbor Bay. I did not hate her. She loved with everything she had. She simply gave that love to someone who believed it would never run out. I had been given another life. I used it to save my child. To expose Bianca. To take back my name. And to learn that love was never supposed to demand my destruction. Bianca had once believed she could remove me by poisoning my food, stealing a ring, and killing my baby. Instead, every trap she prepared became another step toward her own ruin. Adrian believed protecting her was kindness. It cost him his inheritance, his family's trust, and the woman who had built his future. They called everything a small matter. Until the consequences became too large to escape.